Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty. Their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
And meanwhile, we want to offer a special thank you to our friends at Brome Bird Care, makers of the world-famous Squirrel Buster collection, and also famous for their superior quality of their feeders and for their unparalleled level of customer service. We're happy to announce that they are back with us as a Talking Birds sponsor and supporter. Welcome back, Brome Bird Care. Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to our show number 1083. Starting with a little tidbit we didn't have time for last week, in which folks from Denver Audubon recognized that the call of the red-winged blackbird would fit nicely into the 70s hit song Spill the Wine by Eric Burdon and War. Here's what it sounds like. Now listen carefully. It's only about 15 seconds long. There it is, more proof that birdsong really is music. Well, we have an audio postcard from Maricopa County, Arizona, sent in by Tanya and Gino. It's a short and sweet bird-only card, but it includes this accompanying note. Hi, Ray. Greetings from Anthem, Arizona, just north of Phoenix. We went out looking for owls at dusk, and they delivered. A couple were calling back and forth to each other from about 200 feet apart. Great horned owls, and they say it looks like they favor large planters as nesting spots. Quite the unconventional choice. This is a busy neighborhood with plenty of dog walkers and car traffic, so fingers crossed that they'll succeed in their nesting endeavors. Cheers, Tanya and Gino. Thank you, Tanya and Gino. We do love getting these audio postcards. Make a little digital recording of what you're seeing or hearing and send it to Ray at talkingbirds.com. Well, you may be sad or you may be glad, but this may be the last time we'll play our marching frog music. Well, today's show represents our last opportunity to invite entries for our Name the Talking Birds Garden Frog contest. The listener whose frog name catches the fancy of our judges will win a spectacular spotting scope. It's the Vortex Diamondback HD Angled Spotting Scope, MSRP about $600. It offers features like high-density, extra-low dispersion lenses, dielectric prism coatings, a helical fast-focusing mechanism, glass surface protection through Vortex's ArmorTech coating, a built-in sunshade around the objective lens to reduce glare and protect the lens from rain and snow, and a rotating tripod collar that provides viewing angle flexibility. All wrapped in a durable, weatherproof design. And it comes with a scope case, objective lens cover, and eyepiece cap. That's a lot. And it's our prize in our Name the Talking Birds Garden Frog contest. The deadline for entry is Tuesday, March 31st at midnight. So if you're hearing today's show on or before March 31st, you still have time to submit a name. See the frog at talkingbirds.com, right on the homepage, and then click the Get Involved tab to find the contest and to enter. And good luck. And that would be our mystery bird. This is not the mystery bird contest. This is a preview of the contest. Later on in the show, we'd like to kind of get you ready for it for when we kind of give the signal later for the actual thing. Our mystery bird is a small thrush. The male has gray upper parts, black wings and tail, and a black mask. along with a light brown wash. On the throat, breast, and flanks, the female has similar but duller plumage and no mask. In North America, our bird breeds in Alaska and parts of northern Canada and embarks on long-distance journeys to wintering grounds, mostly in Africa. That's our bird. We have some wonderful prizes to nourish your body and your mind. First, from Plain Products, Plain with an E, whose mission is to provide clean, sustainable products in reusable aluminum bottles, not plastic. It's a 4-part travel set: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and body lotion. And from the folks at Larkwire, it's a Birding by Ear course featuring highly customizable, game-based courses with ID tips from some of the world's best birders. Beautiful prizes on our upcoming Mystery Bird contest just a little bit later on here. Now a salute to another Talking Birds ambassador. Ambassadors are folks who have stepped up and become supporters of our show in a real way in terms of helping us get the word out about the show and, of course, about what we're trying to get out there, which is the word about birding and conservation. Thank you to Joseph from Columbus, Ohio. He says, my wife's Uncle Bill turned me on to Talking Birds, and I'm sure he'd really appreciate a shout-out. And that would be Bill Gillette, the uncle of Joseph's wife, Kay, who also just became, or recently became, a Talking Birds ambassador. So thank you, Joseph, and thank you again, superstar ambassador Bill Gillette. You've probably heard us mention him before. Thank you, Bill. Well, still to come today for our final Gardening for Birds Month show, we'll talk with entomologist and seed expert Emily Baisden from the Wild Seed Project. Also today, Mike O'Connor will join us for Let's Ask Mike, almost live, as he sings the praises of cage feeders. And up next, today's featured feathered friend, presented by the bigger and better BWD magazine, with each large format issue packed with beautiful photographs, illustrations, and in-depth articles. Experience birds up close with BWD at bwdmagazine.com. One of two definitions of ferruginous is related to or containing iron. The other is resembling iron rust in color. It's that second definition that applies in connection with today's featured feathered friend, the ferruginous pygmy owl. This very small owl, which actually ranges in color from cinnamon to grayish brown, is about the size of an American robin. Its round head is without ear tufts and is accented by fine white streaks. Its whitish underparts have thick, dark streaks that create a pattern of vertical white lines. Ferruginous pygmy owls are most active near dawn and dusk, diving from perches to capture birds, insects, reptiles, and small mammals. They fly with rapid wing beats in an undulating, woodpecker-like fashion. This bird is described as an edge species, often seen where two habitat types meet. They're found in rainforests, tropical dry forests, savannas, and even backyards. Their U.S. range is restricted to southern Texas and south-central Arizona, in which state the cactus ferruginous pygmy owl subspecies is listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. The fact that this bird is active during the day makes it relatively easy to find, and it's often mobbed by other small birds. But they have to be careful, since the ferruginous pygmy owl is agile enough to catch small mobbers, including hummingbirds. Our bird's scientific name derives from the location in South America where it was first described, and translates from Latin as little Brazilian owl. Today's Talking Birds featured feathered friend, Glaucidium brasilianum, the ferruginous pygmy owl. Welcome again to our show number 1083. Emily Baisden is the Seed Stewardship Director for the Wild Seed Project, which focuses on the northeast part of the U.S. and aims to build awareness of the vital importance of native plants and to provide folks with the tools to restore biodiversity in their own communities. Emily holds a BS in environmental science from the University of New England and an MS in entomology from the University of Delaware. She's an avid birder and has a lifelong goal of being able to identify all the flora and fauna in her home state of Maine. She joins us now to talk about her focus on using native plants to support food webs and biodiversity. Good morning, Emily.
Morning, Ray. Happy to be here.
Great to have you. And let me start by asking you how you describe the role of a seed stewardship director.
Yeah, my role as Seed Stewardship Director is pretty cool. I get to manage a lot of different aspects of all things seeds and native plants. So I facilitate everything from seed collection to processing to actually growing out all of our seeds. But I also get to do a lot of education. My background is largely around environmental education and food webs and things like that. So I get to provide folks with tangible skills to be able to grow plants from seed to support wildlife.
Well, among the programs you manage through the Wild Seed Project is something called the Native Seed Center. And you point out that plants there are not isolated from their habitat as they often are in commercial nurseries. Well, can you tell us about how that works and why growing plants in a natural environment is important for the plants themselves and the food web they support?
Yeah, getting to build and maintain the Native Seed Center has been really, really interesting. So it's a mixture of an educational space, a space where we can grow what we call seed increase plots. So where we can collect local ecotype seed and then plant them for growing more seed on to be able to provide for folks that are looking for more seed. There's a pretty major demand for native seed in the area, and there's not a lot of people producing them. So we're able to grow out plants there. And then it's also a nursery where we can grow on plants for our plant sale and demonstration gardens and things like that. But it's actually on a land trust property with an agreement there. So we're able to grow all of these plants outside. They're all adapted to the conditions around them. And then they're supporting all the wildlife that's on those places. So we get to see all the insects that come to there and all the birds that then come to feed on the insects. It's really cool to be growing within wildlands.
Well, you're focused on the Northeast, Emily, but I think you provide help for folks in other parts of the U.S., right?
Yeah, one of the great things about Wild Seed Project and the concepts that we talk about, first of all, our membership program is really across North America. We've got folks in Canada, we've got folks all the way out west. The species that we work with and the seeds are mostly Northeast seeds, but all of these concepts can be adapted to really anywhere. It's the idea that anyone can be growing plants from seed for habitat in their area, and you can take these concepts and grow them elsewhere. We've got part of my job, I get to do what we call the member Q&A. So once a month, all of our members can come ask any of their questions, and we get people from all over the place. And it's really cool to see folks, say in Colorado, finding their local areas and the species that they want to promote, but using all of our concepts to grow on these plants. And then I get to hear about all the animals that come to their yards and things like that. It's really cool.
One of your rewards there. So for home gardeners, Emily, what are the advantages of growing plants from seeds instead of from starter plants, let's say?
Yeah, I'll try not to talk too long about this because I could really go off on a tangent here. But seeds are they're so cool. They are the best way many of our plants can reproduce and spread their genetics. So a lot of what we buy at garden centers and things like that for plants are reproduced clonally, which isn't necessarily bad, but it means that they're all going to be having the exact same genetics. Whereas with seeds, each individual seed is going to have some unique genes to it. Ecosystem level diversity is really important for community stability and things like that. And once you get into the genetics, you find that also tends to lead to a lot more adaptation for plants and a lot more locally adapted species. So they're able to fit within your climate. They're able to fit within the soils that you have in your area. And tends to lead to healthier plants, but also if you have all uniform genetics and a disease comes through, you're going to lose all of your plants. Whereas if you have very diverse genetics, you have way more chance of resiliency and an ability to fight off a pest or a disease or something like that. Also, growing from seed outside allows those plants to be fully adapted. So they'll tend to be a lot healthier than shipping a plant from across the country that might not be adapted to your area.
Well, a big part of all these efforts is the idea that native plants are better than non-native plants in our gardens. Some of the experts we've talked to suggest that it's okay to have some non-native plants as long as they aren't the kind that will spread everywhere. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to take a nuanced approach. I'm not a purist. I think I grow vegetables and things like that in my yard. But I think the key, if we want to support habitat, is to understand the complex relationships between plants and the wildlife that use them. We know many of our terrestrial birds require insects to be able to raise their young and feed and be healthy. And we know that insects are highly connected to the species that they've evolved with over millennia. And those are the native plants. So if we want to be able to support wildlife up the food chain, we really have to be planting the native plants that feed the insects and feed everything up the food chain. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be thinking about things like assisted migration in the face of climate change and things shift. Our ecosystems are not stagnant. They do change, and being able to adapt in the face of change is also really important.
I want to sneak in one more question here, and that is about your goal of identifying all the flora and fauna in your home state of Maine. How is that going, and is such a thing even possible?
It's probably not possible, but, hopefully I live to a ripe old age that I can keep working on it. But really, as a lifelong learner, and one of the biggest joys of getting to work in ecology is that you always get to be learning and observing. And I think even from a really, really young age, my parents realized that I don't get very far on walks because I stop to figure out what everything is every second. And I just want to keep that with me forever.
That great curiosity. Emily Baisden is the Seed Stewardship Director for the Wild Seed Project. Find out more about their good work at this web address, wildseedproject.net. That's wildseedproject.net. Emily, thanks for sharing that great info with us.
Thanks for having me.
Emily Baisden here on Talking Birds, and up next, it's our Mystery Bird contest in just 1 minute.
The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight. You don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field as passionate about nature as you are. Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every birder and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, an unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. If you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com.
What we have there is our mystery bird. We're hearing it again, and now we're doing the actual contest here. I'm about to give the number for that, the phone number that is, and I will repeat it, 781-837-4900. Our mystery bird is a small thrush. The male has gray upper parts, black wings and tail, and a black mask, along with light brown wash on the throat, breast, and flanks. The female has similar plumage but duller and no mask. In North America, our bird breeds in Alaska, in parts of northern Canada, and embarks on long-distance journeys, really long-distance journeys, to wintering grounds, mostly in Africa. That's our bird, and we have fabulous prizes to nourish your body and your mind from Plain Products, whose mission is to provide clean, sustainable products in reusable aluminum bottles, not plastic. Good for your body and the planet. It's a 4-part travel set: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and body lotion. And from the folks at Larkwire, a birding by ear course featuring highly customizable game-based courses with ID tips from some of the world's best birders and a uniquely effective approach to learning. These are, in short, courses that let you master bird sounds and have fun doing it. It's a great product for you or someone you know who's really interested in learning more about birds, especially identifying birds by sound. It's a wonderful skill to have. As promised, here's that number again. It's 781-837-4900. And just one more time, 781-837-4900. Please call us as soon as you can because we do tend to run out of time around here. Meanwhile, we'll check in with Mike O'Connor. It's Let's Ask Mike. It's almost live from the archive. Let's Ask Mike in just 1 minute.
Squirrels have one mission in life: eat your birdseed. They hang, they swing, they stretch, climb, and plot their next move. For squirrels, your bird feeder is the ultimate prize. But now, they've finally met their match. Introducing the Squirrel Buster Evolution. When a squirrel climbs onto the feeder, its own weight automatically closes access to the seed, stopping the theft instantly while birds continue to feed comfortably. No batteries, no tricks, no complicated setup. Just smart, proven squirrel-proof technology that works day after day, season after season. That's why the Squirrel Buster Evolution was named Best New Birding Product of 2025 by the Wild Bird Feeding Institute. So let the birds enjoy the feast, and let the squirrels keep trying. Look for the Squirrel Buster Evolution at Brome.com or at your local bird shop.
Well, grackles, whether they're common grackles or great-tailed grackles or boat-tailed grackles, are among my favorite birds, and I know not everybody agrees with that assessment of grackles or other blackbirds for that matter, but I think Mike O'Connor is on the same page with me. Let's find out about that. Good morning, Mike.
No, good morning. You're right. I like these birds. They eat a lot of birdseed. So that's I hadn't even thought of that reason, but you would think of that reason, yes. But they're also beautiful, interesting birds, no? They are, but they, it's funny, they seem to have a different wintering habitat than they do in the breeding habitat. So the birds are returning to their breeding habitat throughout the country. And a lot of people forget about that. And all of a sudden, these flocks of grackles and blackbirds appear, and it's like they've never seen them before, like it's a new species, and they start wigging out. They're eating out, the words you hear, they're scaring away all the good birds. Yeah. They're chasing the little birds. They don't do that, but they do dominate a feeder. So people ask me, what can you do about controlling them at your feeder? And here's a couple of suggestions. The cheapest and easiest thing to switch to whatever bird seed they're eating, try safflower seed. Safflower seed, not to be confused with sunflowers, is a small white seed that a lot of times the bigger birds don't like. I find that about 50% effective. Well, 50% of my customers say that works perfectly. Other people say it doesn't work at all. It's never worked for me, but other people buy 100 pounds at a time because it works great. The other thing you can do is some of these feeders have adjustable weight on the perches, so you can kind of make them so they close down easier than in other times. So when a heavy bird gets on it, it shuts down the food seed like they do on a squirrel-proof feeder. Again, I find that okay, because sometimes the birds adapt. They flap their wings, and that annoys customers, and they flap their wings and they still eat. What I find the most effective are these cage feeders. It's a feeder that inside is an actual regular feeder inside a kind of a wire cage. The wire is about 1.5 inches square, so the little birds go in and out, and it's important to make sure that the feeder is well inside the cage, usually like 3.5, 4 inches, so the big birds can't reach through. And I find that tremendously effective. It keeps out the gray squirrels and keeps out the larger birds. But you get plenty of chickadees, titmice, nuthatches, finches moving in and out. The downside here, and this is like a game changer for a lot of people, the big birds can't get in, including cardinals. And when I tell people cardinals can't get in, they get mad at me for some reason. They get, their face drops like they just found out something bad about Santa Claus, and they don't. But I use it, and I use them, and the cardinals eat off the ground, and everybody's happy.
but that doesn't work for everybody. It's like telling people that dog can't go on the furniture. Like that. Wait a minute. They get all worked up over it. But I would say of all the things, you get yourself a cage feeder, or make your own cage. Keep your feeder in there, and then the grackles and the red wings and the starlings and all the things that annoy people in the spring won't be much of a problem anymore. That's what I say.
All right, there he is, the always solutions-oriented Mike O'Connor. And let's ask Mike. And there's not a thing about Santa Claus. No bad news there, right?
No. That was just a bad example.
Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Mike will be back with us next week. And meanwhile, we're back to the mystery bird contest, trying to identify this mystery bird. Our mystery bird is a small thrush. The male has gray upper parts, black wings and tail, and a black mask, along with a light brown wash on the throat and breast and flanks. Female has similar but duller plumage and no mask. In North America, our bird breeds in Alaska and parts of northern Canada and embarks on long-distance journeys to wintering grounds, mostly in Africa. That's a long trip. And that's our mystery bird. Wonderful prizes from Plain Products and Larkwire. If you can identify that mystery bird, no correct answer means a drawing will determine our winner. And we have Edward in the Nutmeg State in Connecticut. Hello, Edward.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Well, how are you doing, Edward?
Good.
Why is it the Nutmeg State? That's probably not. We shouldn't be. This is not a time to be asking that. We don't have time, really, for that. No idea. Oh, good. That's good. That'll save us save us trouble. Anyway, you heard the clues and whatnot, Edward, on the mystery bird, and you say that bird is what exactly?
The northern wheat ear.
The northern wheat ear. Absolutely right. An amazing feat of migration for these birds. Breeders in Alaska and Western Canada fly nonstop 9,000 miles across Asia. This is just kind of hard to believe in, even though we know it's true. Breeders in Eastern Canada and Greenland travel 3 to 4 days across the North Atlantic. And of course, that is also nonstop because they are not able to land on the water and survive. They might land on a boat and survive, but certainly not landing on the water. For sure. The northern wheat ear's scientific name, by the way, translates to wine flower, refers to the fact that European birds return to Greece in the spring, just as the vineyards blossom. Now, wheat ear refers to the bird's white rump, but that's a whole nother story that we won't get into now for several reasons. But Edward, thank you so much. Stay on the line, and we'll get your info and send you those prizes.
Thank you very much, Ray. I love your show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Edward. Look at that. More applause for Edward. That is a beautiful thing there. Okay, so the northern wheat ear, that was our mystery bird, and we are, with that, getting pretty close to being out of time for today's show. Why don't I mention once again about our frog contest, our Name the Frog contest, while we have a few seconds here. We're giving away that gorgeous Vortex spotting scope to the winner. So just go to talkingbirds.com, no G in talking there, and then click on the Get Involved tab right there to find the contest and to enter. And good luck. Well, thanks to our amazing Talking Birds team, Debbie Bleacher, Freya McGregor, and today's producing engineer, Tim McKinney.
Timber!
I'm Ray Brown, reminding you that you can enter next week's Mystery Bird contest no matter where you are on planet Earth if you listen live, and that's easy to do via the Listen tab at talkingbirds.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.
The bird show. I like that.
Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty. Their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
And meanwhile, we want to offer a special thank you to our friends at Brome Bird Care, makers of the world-famous Squirrel Buster collection. as a Talking Birds sponsor and supporter. Welcome back.